All right, friends, so you've come to another day of learning. And yesterday we started reading a new story called Junie B. Jones is a Graduation Girl. And Junie B. Jones is a kindergartner who's almost done with kindergarten, just like you guys. And while we might not be having a normal graduation ceremony, it's still fun to hear about a kindergartner who is. So remember, in chapter 1, we learned about Junie B. and she's excited to graduate kindergarten, but she's pretty nervous about first grade. And she's learned all about diplomas, and she's about to make her own invitations to graduation. So let's take a look and see what happens in chapter 2, called Rhymes. I sat at my table, very nice. Mrs. passed out colored paper for our graduation invitations. Also, she passed out curly ribbon and lace and paste and bottles of sparkly glitter. Just as a reminder, she said, we do not put glitter in our eyebrows and we do not lace up our noses. And above all, we do not glue curly ribbon onto our heads and pretend it's long hair, she said. She looked and looked at me. I squirmed in my seat for a little bit. Because that woman has a memory like a hawk, I tell you. Finally, Mrs. went to the board, and she picked up her chalk. On the inside of our cards, we're going to write a poem about graduation. Does anyone have any ideas for the first line? My friend named Grace waved her hand all around in the air. Roses are red, she called out. Yes, hollered room 9, roses are red. Mrs. smiled. She wrote it on the board for us. Okay, how about the second line? She asked. Room 9 hollered again. Violets are blue, violets are blue, violets are blue. Mrs. wrote that line too. Very good, class, she said. Now who can think of a third line? Maybe we should try to mention something about graduation in this one. Does anyone have any ideas? A shy boy named William stood up next to his table. Graduation is here, he said, kind of nervous. Mrs. grinned real big. Excellent job, William. Excellent. She printed it on the board. All right, there's just one more line to go, she said. Let's try to make the last word rhyme with the word blue. Okay? She read the first 3 lines out loud to us. Roses are red, violets are blue. Graduation is here. Room 9 thought and thought. Then all of a sudden, rhymes started coming from all over the place. My dress will be new, called Lucille. My dad's name is Lou, called Jamal Hall. We made it. Woohoo, called Lenny. Just then, Polly Allen Puffer sprang right out of his chair and he started laughing his head off. The zoo is PU, he shouted his loudest. Then all of room 9 laughed our heads off too, because PU is the silliest rhyme we ever heard of. Mrs. clapped her mad hands together. Boys and girls, that's enough, she grouched. She hurried to Polly Allen Puffer's table and she put him back in his seat. I do not appreciate that kind of behavior, young man, she said. We're trying to write a nice class poem here, Polly Allen, and your rhyme was entirely inappropriate. After that, I tried to stop giggling, but that silly poem kept on staying inside my head. And then, right out of nowhere, another funny poem popped right into my brain. And I couldn't even hold it inside. I quick jumped up out of my chair. Roses are red, violets are blue, graduation is here, and your feet smell like stink, I shouted. After that, room 9 could not even control themselves again, because that poem was the funniest thing they ever even heard. Mrs. eyes got big and wide at me. Junie B. Jones, didn't you hear a word I just said? She said, very annoyed. Then Mrs. hurried to my table and took me into the hall. And she pointed me straight to the office. Uh-oh, so it seems like Junie B was not listening to her teacher very well, friends. So hopefully in chapter 3, she'll learn how to be a little bit more respectful. But you're not going to hear chapter 3 until tomorrow's learning. So make sure you pay attention and do all your work so you can hear chapter 3 of Junie B. Jones is a Graduation Girl.